Hi and welcome back to the Gemhawks YouTube channel. Today I want to show you a really simple design which, when I first started working with wire, I wondered how it would be so easy to make simply. So I came up with a way that I hope you'll agree is suitable for absolute beginners to wire working, and I also hope that you will find it useful and helpful in your jewellery making designs. Now, several months ago I created the 5-pointed star with you, and today what I want to show you is the Triquetra. So if you pop down to the board with me, there are some examples of how you can perhaps enhance your Triquetra designs. This has got little beads added on in a technique that we covered in a preceding video called Wiring on Gemstones. These are actually little seed beads, but the technique is the same. This has got the little coiled star style pendant that we made, but cut and set in the centre. So those are both techniques that we've covered in the past, but this is the piece that we're going to show you how to make today, which is your basic Triquetra design. Now obviously you can make this any size you like, but I wanted to make this as simple as possible for absolutely everybody, whether they were brand new to wire working, to be able to achieve. So today I am going to be working with 1mm gauge wire. The colour I have on the board today is antique bronze colour copper core wire. It's always a mouthful trying to get all the details out, and what I want to do is show you how simply you can create the basic design. Now the tools that I'm going to be using are my basic tools, which are round nose, bent chain nose and flush cutter pliers, but I'm also going to be using a rather large round mandrel so that I can show you on quite a grand scale how easy it is to make this design. You can obviously, as I say, wind that down. You could use a nail varnish or the lid perhaps of a lotion bottle, whatever you've got to hand that is round and will function to the size that you're looking to create. So the only wire that we're using is the 1mm gauge, and those are the only tools that you require. So what I'm first going to do is to create 2 circles around my round form. So I'm just going to show you, obviously what we would do as normal is just warm that wire through. And I'm going to choose a size which I know will leave, sorry, a bit of fluff on the board there, will leave me enough slack at the end of the wire. Now obviously the amount of wire you're using is going to depend on the size that you want to work with. I've just crossed that over, so let's uncross that. So what I might do is just size that down a little bit. And you can see that we've got 2 basic circles and a little bit of slack on either end just to work with. So the first tool that I'm going to bring in are my bent chain nose pliers. Any flat facing pliers will do. Make your life easier if you have some with a fine tip. They could be straight tapered chain nose, anything with a flat face on the inside so that you can get a reasonably good angle. So what I'm going to do to begin with is just open this out slightly, so it's a bit more spring-like rather than a flat design, and that just gives us a little bit more room to wiggle. So I'm going to come a couple of inches along from one end, and I'm just going to put a little bit of a kink just up and away from my first circle that I'm working on, and that just shows me where I'm going to add my hanging loop later. It doesn't need to be straight up, it's just a little bit of a sharpish bend to start us off. What I want to do is estimate halfway across. So if we imagine this is the 12 o'clock point, I want to come to the 6 o'clock point on my clock face. I'm just going to take that upper circle of wire. If I show you sideways, that's why I opened it out slightly. What I'm going to do is grip that really firmly and push the remaining circle and a part over the top. And I'm going to take that much more past the angle than we'd actually need. I'm going to very, very carefully just pull that back out a little bit so that it sits neatly. What I'm then going to do is make a second bend exactly opposite my first. So I'm trying to make half circles all the time, and it needs to come inwards on the design. So what I really need to do is either flip hands, which I'm not very good at, or flip the design over so that I can grab hold of the piece exactly opposite the last bend. I'll show you up this way, like so, and we need to reduce the wire so it's coming inwards, so that's exactly halfway across, or near as it can possibly be to eye. And I'm going to push that over, and you can see already that we're creating the basic size of the Triquetra. And again, I'm just going to take the finest tip of my pliers, not quite that fine, need an actual grip. I'm going to take that past where I would want it to sit and then bring it back slightly. And what you can do, once you've decided where those bends are going to take place, is you can edit that slightly manually by popping in with your pliers and just giving that a bit of a nip in with the pliers at the end, so it has a slightly more defined point. Now this is very much one of those designs that is instantaneous virtually to create, but you can spend hours messing with this. You can really take an eon making it as perfect as you want it to be, but you genuinely don't have to. As long as you're looking at half circles, then the basic shape is going to be there. And as I say, you can embellish it in a number of different ways. You can wire on some fine gemstones or seed beads to enhance one or all of the surfaces. You could even put a little Horus eye in the centre. That would be really cool. I love all things Celtic. I love all things Egyptian. I'm quite fond of the South American, the Inca and Aztec influences in design as well. I love Art Deco designs. So any little trickery that you've come across in almost any other sphere of your jewellery making, you can pop that in the centre of your triquetra and make it really, really unique to you, which I think is the absolute joy of making your own jewellery. You can create something over and over again, which is really beautiful and really fine, or you can make something completely unique and original to you. So, popping back down to the board, I'm actually quite happy with how that's looking. If you wanted to, you could print something off from the internet and you could check that your distances were exactly correct, but I'm more than happy that this is going to look exactly how I want it to. So I'm just going to hold the wire where visually I can see these are relatively even. I'm going to take the top wire, which has the remaining length tapering off to one side, and just to show you, I'm going to push that back at 90 degrees and then draw it up ever so slightly in this direction so that it sits over the kink that we made at the beginning. Now the next section, you can use your your bent chain nose pliers to hold and then draw the wire round. What we want to do is hold this wire and this wire. We don't want to crush them together. I find it easier to use my broad flat pliers because I can grip both of those reasonably well without causing any damage to the crossover point. If you put too much pressure just here, it will become brittle and won't be great in the future for longevity. So we've got the tail of the wire coming back and at an angle slightly. I'm just going to draw that around. You can mess with this a little bit, draw that tail up to its now final upright position, and then just bring the tail of wire all the way around to create that wrapped loop at the top, which will tie everything together. Now I've just slightly crossed that over, but it won't be too difficult to undo. Just going to scooch in with the tip of my bent chain nose pliers, give that a bit of a squeeze until I'm happy with how that's sitting. Now obviously I've got enough of a tail on the wire here that I could generate a little coil if I wanted to, and then come up at the top and do just a little wrapped loop so that I can hang that as an earring. These are one of my best sellers. In the past I do one triquetra on one side, and then on the other side I do a lovely little pentagram in a circle. So let's just get that nice and smooth coming away at the top. And again, you could just spend a little bit of time getting that to sit exactly how you want it to sit, but your basic form is made for you when you create that first circle. So I'm just going to pop in some of the ideas for enhancing this further. So as I say, these make cracking little earrings, pentagram on one side, triquetra on the other side. I do them in odd coloured wires or to order in specialist colour wires. I think purple wire was one of my favourites. That seemed to be really popular. But as I say, as a little decal, anything you fancy in the centre, just to enhance your design. As we've got this spiral with the little points coming away, it's really quite a nice opportunity to fill the centre, or to embellish one or all of the lines. Now with this particular piece, what you will see is it looks slightly lopsided now because the silver coloured framework that we created was relatively even, but once you add on the little seed beads, it extends downwards and it looks slightly lopsided. So if you are going to use larger beads to enhance one of the swoops on your triquetra, it might be worth making that side slightly shallower. Just something to think about anyway, if that's something that you're looking to do. that is how easy it is to make a Triquetra design in wire. As I say again, it's 1mm gauge wire I've used today. You can size that up or you can size that down a little bit if you need to. I hope that this has been helpful and useful for you, and I hope you're all having a lovely time. Please do like the video if you've enjoyed the content, and hit subscribe if you'd like to be kept up to date with new tutorials as they are released. I will love you and leave you for today, but thank you very much for continuing to support me on the Gemhawks YouTube channel. All the best.